Hello, my fellow ferals. I'm doing a lot better since my last video. Definitely feeling good, confident, pretty much over it. Um, yeah, I don't really have much to say other than I'm doing good. School's going well. Taking public speaking, I hate it. Uh, Not because I don't like speaking in front of people, just I hate that I'm paying like a couple $1,000s to take a class that I really don't need to be in. Like I get it for people who are anxious about speaking in public. But it's a requirement for my degree and I don't know why. Um, Not sure the relevance there, which I'm getting my degree in social work, but I think I'm actually going to change my degree to education so I can teach English abroad because I've always wanted to, travel the world and there's always other countries looking for English teachers um to teach kids how to speak English and stuff like that, and I think that it's a job I could do, and really, I just wanna be able to travel and, like, live in other countries, even if it's just temporary. Still wanting out of the US. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but I would really like to live somewhere else, especially right now. I'm also taking political science. That's been interesting. Um, it's fascinating subject, really. Which I've always been pretty politically aware, and I'm one of those nerds that actually goes through and reads bills that are being proposed. So it's nothing new for me, and it's a pretty easy class. I hate the discussion posts though, just because I don't know what it is I just don't like about it. It's so laborsome, I guess, because you have to go in and you have to respond to 2 people, and then people comment on yours, and then you have to respond to them. It's just a whole big thing, and I think it just comes down to I'm lazy and I don't wanna do it. Um, yeah, but, come across different viewpoints, which is always interesting to do, hear people explain their different viewpoints and counter them in a respectful way. Um, so it's nice to be able to do that. I don't think face to face I could do that because I'm not as articulate with my points as I am when I can actually, read them and look at them physically. Uh, but I think I do pretty good. It feels like a propaganda class, kinda, honestly, uh, but, we're in the United States, everything we ever learn is some form of propaganda, like how they water down teaching about slavery. Like they I've read some firsthand accounts from slaves that escaped or that were freed later in life. Um, and it's horrendous, like, surely it's bad going into it, but you don't realize the full extent of how bad it is until you really sit and read about it. Um, so, Black AF History is something I'm currently reading through. I definitely recommend it, checking it out. I'm a big supporter of critical race theory, and if you didn't know what that is, I want to be very clear. It's not making white kids feel bad for being white, as the arguments I have heard. It is simply teaching actual history of actual things that happened. Like different things you can learn, like how the Holocaust started. That's under critical race theory. The Cherokee Indians, the Trail of Tears. I didn't learn about the Trail of Tears until I was an adult. In college, you learn how the Cherokee Indians owned slaves to prove they were white, because that was what the requirement was. They had to have their own written language, and they had to own slaves to prove that they were equals, so that they could keep their land. They actually won two different Supreme Court cases to keep their lands, but Andrew Jackson was a bastard and was like, nope, gonna force you guys all out at gunpoint to go walk to Oklahoma. Yeah, that's in a nutshell what the Trail of Tears is. It's more horrific than I'm actually describing it. Which I'm describing it pretty horrifically if you think about it, but it was worse. I don't think I can really go into too much detail about how much worse it is here on YouTube, but it was bad. I'm trying to think of what else you would learn. Um, hmm. Oh, you would learn things like how GIs from World War II that happened to be black, and same, I think it was the same for Vietnam. I know it was for World War II, unless I'm confusing the two again. But the GIs that came back, or is it GOs? I think it's GIs. Yeah, that came back were not able to get the housing grants that the white counterparts had been able to get, which made it hard to build generational wealth, and there is still that wealth gap to this day. And I just watched a video not that long ago, but it's a big deal. I would definitely look into the race wealth gap. There's a couple TED Talks about it. Fascinating stuff. Um But yeah, no, critical race theory is not, oh, let's make white kids feel bad for being white. It's just learning what actually happened in history. And history is messed up, and it's just, we need to learn actual history and not just this whitewashed version that we learn in school. Um, because what we learn is very downplayed, and we don't learn as much as we should be learning. And I want, kids to have access to a good quality education. Um, but another thing I learned that would be in critical race theory teachings is the reason why the buffalo were hunted to extinction, just about, were because the uh, the government wanted the natives to be dependent on them so they could control their lands. Um, and that's pretty messed up. Because I remember learning about Buffalo Bill in elementary school, but I remember in elementary school they were like, "Oh, they just did this. They just hunted all these buffalo for fun. It was just for funsies, no reason." Um, Also, it was illegal for indigenous people to worship their own religion until like the 70s. That would be another thing you would learn. Also, all women did not earn the vote at the same time. Back in the day, first white women got the right to vote, and then I don't remember if it was Asian. I think it was Asian next, and then someone, I think it was black, didn't get the vote. The women didn't get to vote until 56. I will have to actually double check that. but you can look up uh the different, like, this is all, this is all stuff you can look up from different history websites. Um I might, yeah, I'll probably link sources down in the description box just so you guys can read. It's really fascinating stuff. History is very fascinating because it's a record of how horrible people are. And the reason why we don't learn true history is because the lens of education is always designed by the elite. So, also, a way to say history was written by the victors, or so to say. But yeah. So, fascinating stuff. I'm probably going to be on like an hour long link mission to try and uh post everything that I learned, or that I've just told you guys about. But I don't understand people who romanticize the past, because the world was always awful and it was worse. It was worse back then. It's better now, but that doesn't mean it's good. It's better. I definitely don't want to live in any other time period than the one I'm in, unless, of course, I'm going to the future. But also, I'm pretty scared of the future at this point. I don't know where humanity's going anymore. Um, yeah, so, oh, life update. Um, I'm gonna be moving in September. I don't know if I've said that, but I'm moving to upstate New York. We're looking at the Buffalo, Niagara Falls area, somewhere in there. Found out housing is really cheap up there. I think it's because nobody wants to live there, but it's a lot cheaper than it is here in Nashville. And just from what I've been looking at, and I'd like to be up north. Just, I want to be close to Canada. You feel me? Just in case. Just in case something goes wrong. Um, but that could just be paranoia. Who knows? Who knows? I say that and it's like we all know. We all know it's going bad. Um, but yeah, and it's, I feel like I'd be a lot better in a northern state versus, the red state that I'm in. Um, I'd also have access to better healthcare, and there's public transportation is taken seriously up north. So I'd be able to get around without having to worry about Uber, because where I live now, there's not the nearest bus stop is like 2 miles from me. So I have to either Uber where I'm going or Uber to the bus stop and catch a bus from there, which, after everything's said and done, is almost the same cost as an Uber. Um, yeah, it's ridiculous. I wish we had better public transit in this country, but we don't, because infrastructure would be socialism, and socialism is evil. Ugh. Not really. We would all benefit from better public transit, because, people seem to, for some reason, think if we just add one more lane to the highway, we won't have traffic problems. We wouldn't have traffic problems if we had high speed railways that were more efficient than driving. But, alright, y'all, that's it for this video. Stay chaotic.